Hey, welcome to Roaming Minds. I'm Carlos.
I'm AJ, and here we talk about the thoughts that kept us out of all the really good schools. You know, those quiet spirals, the questions that keep you up at night, and the trials and tribulations that we all face as human beings.
This show is part reflection, part reminder. We're not broken, we're on a journey of growth. Please note that this conversation should not be taken as medical or professional advice. See the link in the description below if you require immediate help.
Every week, we unpack what it means to choose joy. Not the loud version that Karen is peddling, but the quiet, hard-earned kind that comes from finally feeling like yourself again.
Let's keep this conversation going. Join us on Discord or connect to a peer through Kindred. Let's get into it.
I think it's more common than even I think it is, and I think it's pretty common. Waking up feeling tired before the day even starts.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that equates to snooze button. People are like, I constantly hit the snooze button. And then you have the other side that's like, never hit the snooze button. And you're like, yeah, but I'm tired all the fucking time. I get both sides of the coin. There are those days that even those small decisions can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
What to eat for dinner sometimes can be like, oh! And it also kind of ties into our sense of motivation. The more decisions that I make in a day, the less motivated I am. With each decision comes more, coming back to the cognitive stack. Boom, 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 boom. So we've added responsibilities, we've added environmental factors, and then we've also we're going to add decision layers. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, major overhead all at the same time. This side just keeps going down. And that is, it's a huge problem, right? Because and even when I was thinking about that stack originally, I wasn't thinking about decisions being included in those costs. But it is one of the hidden costs of having to make a lot of decisions. I want to say, I'm pretty sure it was Mark Zuckerberg who was like, I wear the same thing every day so that I can reduce one decision that I don't have. It's just easy to wake up the same thing and not have to worry about it. At the time, I was like, that's probably just something trivial. But when you're making tons and tons and tons of decisions on a day-to-day basis, anywhere that you can reduce that stack is super important. Think about how many decisions that you make just before lunchtime.
Quite a few.
Right. I don't know how you operate, but I know for me, I try to have everything as I know routinized is not a word, and I can't think of the one that I'm trying to say there. Everything that I do is regimented. There we go.
Yeah.
It's very. I was talking with somebody about it, and they were like, "Well, what does your morning routine look like?" And I was like, "Well, I wake up, I stretch, I make bone broth, coffee, read, tea, whatever." And they're like, "That doesn't sound like a habit. That sounds like a ritual." Because I mean, every day is boom, 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 boom.
That is because a ritual is something that occurs in the same, at least in the
Mhm.
somewhat same manner every single time it is done. Versus a habit is like it's the idea of that thing that you start with, and then they might change slightly a little bit.
Right. And the good thing about that, so we have to make a lot of explicit decisions on a day-to-day basis, but there are also implied decisions that we have to make as well.
Mhm.
Again, thinking about things like how I'm getting to work today, how I'm doing this. Like, these are implied decisions that
Decision.
are constantly going on. So underneath your hidden layer, at your hidden layer, then there's that meta layer of the implied decisions that you also have to make. And it is no wonder why people this day and age are because again, we've got these crazy fast-paced environments and we're constantly switching back and forth between multiples. We've got added responsibilities, more and more and more and more responsibilities, and then our decisions just keep adding and adding and adding and adding. Most of them are just baseline. We're not
Yeah.
even talking about these extravagant decisions. Hey, what am I doing for one of the ones that we're thinking about is my kid going to do some camps this summer? Because
Mhm.
it's about that time to think about that. Again, that's not a baseline functioning decision. That's an added one that gets brought in that adds to that stack. And that one decision adds 3 or 4
Yeah.
different things to the stack because I don't it's not just about talking to him and figuring out what he wants to do. It's doing the research to find out when they are. Are we going to be in town during? Do you see what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
decisions just pile and pile and pile. And again, that is not a maintenance decision. Maintenance decision. What am I going to wear today? What am I going to for breakfast? Am I going to take the same route to work that I always take, or is traffic too bad? Those are maintenance-based decisions that we have to make on a day-to-day basis. And I don't want to get there yet. This is what'd you say?
No, I was just laughing.
Oh yeah. No, I was like, no, I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna hold off. What this then ties into, and I don't think that we think about it a lot. I don't know that I've ever had a conversation about decision fatigue with another human being. I've
And
never
me,
just been like, "Man, I've made a fuck ton of decisions today and I'm tired."
no, well, I think you have because I think we usually frame it like, oh, I had so many things to do. I had to do this. I had to do this. Like, but those are
Mhm.
implied choices, at least the way I view it.
Right.
Because you make certain choices throughout the day, or like you decide like what. So I think maybe not like in those words, but I think you have, at least from my perspective,
Mhm.
have discussed it.
At a different level, at a higher level. Again, if I have so many things to do, having so many things to do implies that I'm taking action, and those actions are what is burning me out. But it's not necessarily just the actions, it's the mental processes behind it that are required. And that's where we don't necessarily think about that. I'm not like, yes, I have a lot to do, but I'm not like, well, I made 30 or 40 decisions today and I'm just fucking wiped, dude. Extra ones, not I don't know. I'm just throwing out random fucking numbers, so please don't hold me to that. But then on top of that, right? Your environments require micro decisions all the time. And these are constantly happening, whether we're aware of them or not. If I'm walking down the hallway or down any hallway and there's this is going to be the most ridiculous example. I'm coming up to an intersection. I can hear something coming down the hallway. It sounds like a moving cart, whatever you want to call it. I'm assessing that in that moment and making that decision to be like, well, do I play it safe? Do I wait it out and see what's coming? Or do I just say fuck it and try to barrel through? Well, if I barrel
Mhm.
through, that cart could be a runaway cart and it could just fucking smack me and there it goes, I'm done. Not done, but I just bit the short end of the stick
Yeah.
because this dumb crap just happened. That is that happens over the course of what? Maybe 10, 15 seconds if you're lucky. That could be even stretching out that time frame. But how many decisions did you just make in that short time frame without even being conscious of it?
I mean, quite a few.
Right. So every additional uncertainty that we add comes with added decisions.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. And then it's amazing that we're all exhausted by the end of the day. We're like, "Oh, we're running so much." And so again, coming back to that idea of physical versus mental exhaustion, I'm not physically exhausted. I'm mentally fucking done, dude. especially in terms of, I'll just relate it to teaching. Every single kid has their own point that they are at. And every single day, you have to assess where that kid is at, how that kid is functioning. Is it appropriate for intervention? Is it appropriate for not for intervention and providing support? Is it appropriate for this, that, or the other? And some of them, I'm going to tell you, more stable than others. But even at that, in a class of 30 kids, you've got a couple that are, I don't want to say unhinged because that makes them sound crazy, or not stable because, again, that makes them sound volatile, but their behavior really is volatile at that point. You don't know what's going to happen. And so the unpredictability adds those micro decisions.
That's
And
true.
then it's no wonder why people are like, well, man, teaching is crazy. I'm exhausted all the time. Like, yeah, of course you are, because you're making tons of micro decisions. And a part of it is warranted. I'm going to tell you, pieces of it are warranted. Nobody takes a lot of teachers seriously. That's, I get it. I don't fault them, nor do I blame them. I have met quite a few that are like, well, I just went into this profession so I could have summers off. This is a total side tangent, but uh, so that kind of things make sense. But there is very valid exhaustion behind things like that due to these unpredictable decisions that we have to make. Again, I'm using that as an example because it's easy for me. But think about how it is your daily life, number one, has unpredictability in it.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, how that unpredictability leads to that uncertainty and those micro decisions happening.
Yeah.
Because you'd be amazed at how quickly those decisions add up and how easy it is to realize why we are all so overwhelmed at all points in time. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And it doesn't, again, this is why I think, I think it's a different exhaustion when you are constantly making decisions than when you are constantly running all of the time. This one, constantly running all the time, is super easy to figure out because it is physical exhaustion. And again, we are used to that.
Mm-hmm.
The constant running and the constant decisions are that mental fatigue that most of us do not have the capability to be able to combat. And so this is where you get terms like white people problems. Why? Because predominantly up until the 21st century, it was white people who were in those roles that were experiencing that fatigue. And everyone's like, well, I'd love to have those problems. And maybe you would. I'm not disputing. I'm not taking away claims. I'm not saying one's better than that's not what I'm doing. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is that there are pitfalls within both. It makes no difference. And maybe this is a random tangent. I can see your eyes. I can see the wheels spinning. So I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say.
No, because I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to listen to you and understand what the correlation is because
Mhm.
I'm not seeing it. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Right. Okay. So if you've ever heard anybody go, oh man, I'm just so tired today, and literally all they did was like sit inside of a house and didn't do anything, those are typically those privilege problems that people
Mm-hmm.
talk about, right? Get away from the idea of white people problems and just call them privileged problems.
Yeah.
That kind of those kinds of problems come from the stacking up of decisions, the stacking up of environments, the stacking up of responsibilities, while not having anything to counterbalance everything, if that makes sense.
I'm still a little lost.
It's okay. Where are you lost? I'm okay with being lost. We can always keep going.
Okay. No. Well, yeah, yes, but I'm trying to. So with the idea of privilege, so where is the stack coming from? I think that's yes, you are making, even if you're in the house and quote unquote did nothing, there are obviously decisions. So are you saying that those decisions are the stacks, or that's where I'm trying to?
I'm saying that those decisions, the decisions that you have to make, add to the. So here's our stack. Their responsibilities may be fewer.
Mhm,
You're talking, I got to show up at noon for something. I may have to show up at 1 for something. That's okay. Again, this took a hit. So then I add on all of these decisions. There's that stack. That's how it exists. And then there's nothing on this side to go ahead and bring them back up to baseline because they're okay. So you have things like exercise, but exercise is more of a responsibility at that point. It's not
mhm.
about I'm moving, it's I have to stay in shape. I have to do things this way, which again, add to that stack because what decisions am I going to make? How am I going to go ahead and do this? And this is not to say that This is not to say that underprivileged communities do not have problems, okay? That's not what I'm trying to get at
Mhm,
because they have the added stressor of the physical exhaustion. So their stack gets even further
mhm.
because they've got the only difference is at the end of the day when their head hits the pillow, they can go to sleep because they're physically fucking drained. They can't even worry about the rest of the stack because they're not there because they're too busy battling that physical
No,
exhaustion.
okay,
Does that make sense?
okay, I see the point.
I know it's a bit of a stretch, but I think it highlights those things very nicely. And again, when it comes to those more privileged aspects of things, you don't have the physical exhaustion to deal with. You
Yeah,
so yes, it is. I'm agreeing. It is 100% a privilege. It is a
yeah,
privilege to not have to deal with the physical exhaustion. It is a privilege to only have to be fatigued by decisions and by responsibilities. That's that's a big fucking help, but there's still problems that we have to manage and that we have to find ways to go ahead and navigate.
yeah.
Again, that's not the point of
Good
this.
point. Yeah, that's
The point is just to highlight decisions.
yeah.
I don't give a fuck about the problems.
Mm,
It's just to highlight the fact that this is where we feel that decision fatigue. We feel that decision fatigue mentally. We don't feel it physically. And that was really just an example to try and highlight that. I don't know if it was successful or not, or if we're
No, like it makes sense. But I think the other thing that well, maybe we will get into this. Maybe I'm biting the. But I think the question that I have is, are we over analyzing something that can't be really fixed? Because unfortunately, part of life comes those decisions. You have to make decisions. Like,
Mhm,
so maybe as we go along, maybe we'll discuss more solution to decision making. But I'm like,
mhm.
it's an inevitable part of life, and life is an unpredictable situation. So you always have to be navigating these situations. So
Right. No,
n-
you're 100% accurate. Right? We exist inside of systems that inevitably um, dump their complexity on top of us. We live inside multiple very, very complex systems, complex moving parts that are happening all the time. And it is our responsibility and what we have to
no,
do to navigate that.
yeah,
What,
correct.
what, the primary thing that I want to highlight is these are some of those invisible things that we don't name all the time. We don't think about these things. We
Okay.
don't highlight them as potential stressors. We don't have the language for it yet. We haven't been given it. And so, what I want to do, and that's really what this whole half of the season has been, is providing that language so that because you are right. It is coming. The pivot is definitely coming. I, but again, I don't want to get too far ahead of
No,
ourselves.
no,
I
because
want to.
no, because I also don't want to listen to so that you'll listen. You're like, well, that thing exists nowhere. So what is the point?
Mhm.
Like, you know what I
No,
mean?
no, I totally understand. You have to remember, we have so many pressures on us in this lifetime. We've got we have workflows that we have to follow, but they're not always default workflows. They're constantly changing. We're constantly expected to learn new workflows that are being implemented.
Hmm.
Previously, before computers began to work themselves into daily lives, workflows didn't change that much. If you were on a factory line, you're on a factory line and you've got one responsibility. Whatever your point on that factory line is, whether that's taking something off, putting something on, there was nothing before that required us to make those major decisions. It was just, oh, hey, I'm done. Good. Bring on the next one. It was automatic. It was regimented. It was almost ritualistic. But work since then has shifted. Your job was much more simplified.
Yeah.
Not for everybody. You still had a higher level of thought, but those ways of working were limited to a select few people, and it was not spread into a lot of human beings. There's only so many top level management that
But
were,
okay,
you know
yes,
what I mean?
yes, I would agree with that statement in terms of if it was we're looking at just specifically jobs, like
Hmm?
someone working in a
Right.
factory versus working on the line, and then but overall, I think because people had lives and there are other choices they had to make
Mhm.
outside of send
Sure.
lot like yeah.
But if you remove a lot of those decisions from one area of your life, think about it, you spend 8 hours just at work alone. If you remove 90% of the decisions that you have to make, that's a whole lot less cognitive load. That's a lot less adding to that stack. And then everything balance, you're not as overloaded, is really all I'm getting at. We now also work jobs where we're expected to be constantly available. Not everybody, not all the time, but especially if you get into, you know, higher earning positions, I mean, if I like, I mean, I got a text message over the last weekend from somebody who I created a website for, and they were like, I'm trying to do this, but it's not working. This is at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. And I'm like, oh yeah, let me fix that for you. And so at 8 o'clock at night, I'm sitting there reworking this website to make sure that the functionality that I told him was working is working. It was working, just on a local level, not on a global level. So it was a minor fix. It wasn't anything huge. It was what it was. But I, had I not done it right then and there, my reputation with that particular client would not have been sufficient. It would have damaged my reputation with him, and then that would have been a problem. Instead, I fixed it in less than an hour, and he's like, "Yeah, this is great. Thanks so much." But again, when at times when I'm supposed to be balancing out that stack, boom, 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 boom. More decisions, more this, more responsibility. Boom, boom, boom. And then our digital lives have to be configured in such a way. It was such a mind-boggling understanding to me that kids, younger generations, couldn't post something on social media because it did not align with who they posted on social media.
Sorry, repeat that sentence
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah. So if let's say we're all, I don't know, we went to the coffee shop and we're all hanging out and somebody took a photo and they want to be put it on social media and fucking tag it. Well, that person on their social media is primarily a tea drinker, but they went to a coffee shop and they got tea at said coffee shop. But just the fact that they were in a ridiculous example. Kids these days genuinely engineer their social media profiles in such a way that demand more decisions.
Uh,
That becomes a responsibility for them. So in addition, when I was a kid, the only decisions I had to make in school were, am I going to do my fucking homework or not? You know, that was it. We didn't have phones. We didn't have social media. I didn't have to worry about any of that shit. The second that I left school, social pressures are non-existent. Unless, of course, I had a friend come up, whatever. And even then, the social pressures are infinitely different. But that social pressure of school for younger generations now gets carried over into home life. Again, we are just adding more and more and more and more and more to the stack. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be adding more to the stack. I'm not saying that the answer is to go ahead and eliminate all of these things. But what I am going to say is that we do need ways of balancing out that stack. This is more of a solution preview. I'm not getting into it too much. I don't want to, but just to your point, I want to make sure that that is a clear distinction made.
Yeah.
Again, coming back to this idea of discipline. Discipline is what helps us build the habits. We are disciplined to the point where the habits come in and the behavior becomes second nature. It's not, we don't have to think about it anymore, which is what really we're kind of discussing here. Because if those decisions are automatic, I don't have to make those decisions. I just know, boom, I'm up. This is what I do. And I can go and I can focus. I don't have to add to that stack in order to do anything, especially given that we teeter so often on in between thresholds. What is it? What is it in a neuron when they, right before they fire? What is it called?
An action potential
There you
or
go, right? Our action potentials for any of those decisions exist at such a threshold that one of them tips it right over above. And it's the exact same concept, right? That was just my little neuroscience tidbit for the day. Don't worry about it. I know it's basic. Leave me the fuck alone. No. And so this is why we talk about that idea of willpower not being discipline. It's not. This is why just rolling out of bed in the morning, first thing, and doing something to wake you up. I don't care how intense. It doesn't have to be intense. I mean, I think that we scream this intensity. Go jump a cold 30-degree tub or 10-degree tub first thing in the morning. That's pretty fucking intense. I'm not saying it has to be. It can be. If that works for you, by all means, go for it. If light stretching is what you need, if doing 120 push-ups is what you, whatever, just going ahead and performing the action is what's going to help. And that is going to then help to build that discipline of, oh, this is what I need to do. I need to not think about it. Because if I think about it, discipline goes out the window. In order for discipline to be successful, action must be taken. Thoughts cannot be, you cannot think your way into discipline. You can only act your way into it. And so when you go ahead and you're setting up those habits and those routines for yourself, rolling out whatever first thing, and experimenting with what it is. If you want to experiment with fucking cold plunges, go do it. Do it for a week. If you feel better, great. If you don't, it might not be working. It might be too extreme for that moment, not for the future. It always could come back. These are tools that we constantly have at our disposal, but without the action and without going through and testing these things and seeing what occurs, we've got nothing. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Yes.
And so it really mm, 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 mm. It also kind of talks to why we see fatigue as a lack of self-care, but not in the self-care way that people think of. When I hear the term self-care, I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh, did I lotion my skins today? Did I do something that I wanted to do? I don't know, maybe, but
I
self-care
used
is
I used to be like that, but I think I've changed my opinion, or like, well, not changed my opinion, progress on my opinion, where I don't self like some people self care is the superficiality thing of making sure my skin looks good, and maybe there is a point to that. Maybe if your skin looks good, to you
Mhm,
that with some other stress. So,
right.
t- uh, so I, you know,
No, I agree. For some people, that's exactly what it's going to look like. Again, going all the way back to that personalization. It is it is entirely up to you to figure out what it is that works. We're bringing back in that idea of agency. We now understand that our environment, our way of living, the decisions that we have to make, all of this stuff adds to our cognitive stack. I don't want to say mental load because I don't think that's whatever. We can call it cognitive load. That's okay. But when I think of cognitive load, I think of loading up a fucking wheelbarrow. I don't think we're loading up a wheelbarrow. I think we're literally stacking one thing on top of each other. And then again, if it's a stack, we can go in both ways and we can balance out the stack. Th- that's just a me thing. I'm sure that cognitive scientists everywhere are like, well, fuck you, dumbass. We already came up with sure, maybe, whatever. I don't give a fuck, man. As far as I'm concerned, language is important and how I think about it is important. I like stack. That's side tangent ahead. I mean away, my bad. But when it comes down to this agency, we can figure out where to reduce decisions.
yeah,
I again, I take the same route to work every day. I leave at the same time of day. I drink the same thing every single morning. There's no I don't have to make a single fucking decision in the morning because I know exactly what the fuck I'm going to do. Exactly. I don't have to make decisions when I come home because I have them, depending on what day it is, I know what it is that I'm doing. Now I know what you're thinking. This psycho has every second of every day planned out. Yeah, kind of, a little bit, not gonna lie. But at the same time, that allows me to introduce variation when needed without going, oh my God, my fucking head's gonna explode. It, that's not, that's not. So we're reducing the number of decisions by adding things into routine, using that discipline to form those habits.
yes,
And then I'm not telling you it's going to solve exhaustion. It won't, but it will at least mitigate some of it. That is one piece of the puzzle in terms of designing our systems to fit within other systems. And that will kind of be what carries us through
yeah.
the rest. And that's going to be our primary focus for the rest of the season. But I don't want to get too deep into that. I just want to kind of be like, hey, check this shit out. Um, because we can take more agency and we can understand more, because those decisions are going to help decrease the stack. Maybe it's not going to be, if our stack looks like this, those decisions are just going to go boop, 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 bringing us closer to baseline. It's the beginnings of that baseline coming all together. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I see what you
Mhm.
mean.
So then that'll bring us to our wonderful reflection prompts. What decisions do we repeatedly make that have no resolution? Because any open-ended decision or any open-ended system that gets left open adds to that cognitive stack indefinitely, because we're not addressing, not addressing, but we're not able to address what needs to,
To
not
occur.
able to cross that off of the stack. So it just exists on the stack indefinitely. Where are you deciding the same thing over and over, right? If you're deciding the same thing over and over and over again, it's very simple. Automate it, right? To whatever that looks like, right? Monday is chili night. Tuesday is pizza night. Wednesday is curry night. Thursday is Chinese night. Friday, you know what I mean? Simple decisions that are very easy to go ahead and automate, rather than be like, well, I wonder what's for dinner on Tuesday. Fuck that shit, dude. Figure it out. Then just
No, cut
do it.
this shit. I was gonna say you want anybody to live the life of an autistic.
No, not at all. Because like, no, I'm not saying you have to do that every single week, but you can do that. There, God damn it. Fuck you, Carlos. I'm never telling you my medical history again. No. When you have it set up that way, right? It's like a fallback. I know Monday can be chili. I know Tuesday can be pizza. I know Wednesday can be curry. However, if I'm going throughout my day and everything is okay and nothing's too strenuous and my cognitive stack isn't so blown out of proportion, then I can come back and say, you know what? I'm not feeling chili tonight. I'm going to make steak tartare. I don't fucking know. Who knows? Who
Who knows? That is true. Who knows?
I gotta love that raw meat. You know what I mean? But again, having that in place eliminates the need for decision. I don't have to make it. It's already been made. So if I have the capacity to change it, good. Let's go ahead and do that. If I don't, that's a problem. That's the problem that we want to avoid. We want to place X here so that if the floor falls out, boom, I have a place to land. If I don't have a place to land, then the cognitive stack just keeps increasing and shit just keeps getting worse. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm not, believe me, I'm not saying everybody has to
No.
be like my ass and eat the same fucking thing every day, okay?
This sounds like something I know, and I just needed to say it.
I'm just giving you an example from my own life, okay, Carlo? So that's one reflection prompt.
I'll cut all that shit out, by the way.
No. I'm leaving at least a good bit of it in there. Why not? It's a good question, and it's a good distinction to make. Because partially you would be correct if you're thinking about it on that very surface level.
Yeah.
But another part of it is it's really about just having a safety net. It's about eliminating that uncertainty so that you can go ahead and introduce uncertainty. Does that make more sense?
Yes. No.
Okay.
Like, no, I get it. I just wanted to make fun of you. That's
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. That's okay. Like I said, I think it was a good question. So then what drains you more, big choices or small constant ones? Because that can help. Again, minor, small, constant ones. The big ones are simple. I can do that with no problem. But the small, constant ones really end up taking their toll. So I automate them. I sit there and I go ahead and I say, all right, this is going to be the baseline. And if we can change that, great. If not, okay too.
Yeah.
But let me free myself up so that I can handle those bigger decisions. It may be that you need to automate those higher level decisions and solely focus on the smaller ones. This is where that personalization aspect comes in, and this is why we provide these prompts so that you can get a better understanding of what exactly works for you.
Yeah.
We want to notice places where we have patterns. So look for patterns. Don't change them. That's okay. We'll get there. But I guarantee you that if you look at your life, you will, regardless, you will see patterns throughout, whether you want to or not. It's just a way of things. And that's okay. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
Do drugs. Just
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you live that constantly fatigued life, or constantly cognitively fatigued life, the chances of you doing drugs go up
no.
infinitely.
But
Right?
I think you hit the main thing. I think the main thing is ultimately decisions are unavoidable, and trying to track which ones, not which one, what kind of decisions really impact you, and then finding. I hate the word automate, as it almost is like machinery, but trying to find a way
Yeah.
to kind of get those decisions in some kind of alignment will
Offload, maybe.
that will definitely do makes life certain
Makes you feel better.
like it aspect of life a much not better, but easier to navigate in certain aspects.
Right. Yeah. And then I think it's important to understand that this stuff it's not happening because anybody's weak. This is not a sign of personal weakness. This is just a sign of what we talked about earlier, not being provided the language, because I've never been provided the language for it. Not being given the knowledge either. The language, the knowledge. I think that these are all things that we inherently know and kind of understand. We just don't always piece them all together. The exhaustion comes from constantly being asked to perform mental calculations, whatever you want to call it. Calculations isn't right. Mental tasks far too often. There has to be a time where we enter that flow state. Those flow states are what get us to stop that thinking and to release different brain waves out there rather than constantly being in analytical mode and analytical brain waves. What are those? Those are alpha, correct? Am I thinking about that properly? Yeah. And then beta is the next one down, and then gamma, correct?
Theta is very small now. It's
That's
when you
more like sleep and stuff, right? Yeah.
sleep and like not encoding, when information is being encoded in the brain.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Carlos and I greatly appreciate it. Comment something that resonated with you today. We are here for support, feedback, or anything else that you want to share. Join us on the Kindred app, a perfect space to keep unpacking what came up during the episode. Get live, peer-to-peer support from people with shared experiences. Kindred is built for those moments that no one else sees.
Take this one step deeper by reviewing today's reflection prompt in the show notes. Please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and tune in next week for a new episode. Until next time, choose joy.